Hi, Screwball82. It's been a while since my last review, and so at the request of one of my new YouTube viewers, thanks for subscribing, I am going to do my next review on Black Swan, the Darren Aronofsky movie, and I know that it was out a while ago, and it's probably due to come out on on DVD soon enough, but if you haven't seen it, then listen up. This is my take on it. Black Swan basically takes the story of a ballerina who is desperate for the role of the Swan Queen in the ballet Swan Lake. And it's in this particular production, it's a role that will require her to play both the white and the black swan. It turns into a descent into a sort of personal hell for her. And the subject is of this kind of descent into insanity, or into this personal hell, is a film that something that's concerned, something that the director Darren Aronofsky is preoccupied with in some way. I mean, in this whole the journey into a bad place in general is the subject of all of his films so far. That could be a complaint about him being a bit samey, but he does each film with, each film so stands alone in its own, on its own merit, that you can't really complain. His last film was The Wrestler, and it's my understanding that there was a point where this was all going to be one film, The Wrestler and Black Swan together. I'm glad that didn't happen. I think that there's too much to each story, particularly Black Swan. I think there's too much going on, and it would have been a very muddy production. I didn't like the sound of that at all. Upon seeing the Black Swan the first time through, I found myself a bit numb. I knew that what I'd seen was astounding in some way, but I couldn't quite fathom whether I could say that I actually enjoyed it. Watched it a second time through at the cinema, and I thought it was a masterpiece. It moved me far closer to tears on many more occasions, and I found it very affecting. What's fascinating about the film is that a lot of the ideas of it, they're long held, tropes of art house and horror cinema. For example, there are elements of body horror that you've seen in Cronenberg films. There are elements of, you can see sort of echoes of stuff like The Fly in it. Actually, and I quite enjoy that. I got a great deal of pleasure as a fan of Darren Aronofsky from the idea that a lot of people were maybe walking into this movie not really knowing what to expect, and being a bit taken back by the surprising elements of it, by the body horror elements of it, by the erotic elements of it. Once you're over the standard setup, the initial setup, he quickly takes you on this descent into obsession and competition and psychosexuality, and it's a psychological horror, it's a body horror, it's violent, it's abrasive and vivid and powerful, and we watch the whole thing unravel. It's about a woman a young woman literally unraveling, mentally unraveling, and it's played with so much dedication. The character's name is Nina, played with so much dedication by Natalie Portman. I was absolutely in no doubt at all that she was going to get the Best Actress award right from the get-go. The pressure of the role gradually ruins her mind, splits her personality, and drives her to ever worsening degrees of paranoia. Her overbearing mother doesn't help the situation, and it's performed right through brilliantly. Everyone is really, really good in it. I give particular praise to Vincent Cassel, who never gets any praise, and is always sort of overlooked and passed by. But he's been an actor that I've been a fan of for a while. You'll know him from Eastern Promises and Irreversible, and a film called he's in a film called Doberman that was interesting, if not good. Very, and his performance particularly was, I noticed the second time round, more subtle and more precise than I'd given credit for the first time. Anybody familiar with Darren Aronofsky and his previous work, particularly Pi and Requiem for a Dream, will know how well he can put the broken psyche on screen. They'll know how well he can put that up there in front of you. And if you know The Fountain or The Wrestler, then you know how brave and emotional a filmmaker he is. With Black Swan, what he manages to do is inject all of that into one piece of cinema. It's just intense, emotional, dark, scary, moving, haunting and bold. The colour schemes, the staging of the scenes, the editing, the sound, the score. Clint Mansell, who always works with Darren Aronofsky, one of my favourite, composers at the moment. He just never fails. He gets it so right. He's always able to capture the mood of not just a film but of a moment, and carry that theme through the movie. And he never ever fails. And if you want more of his work, see any of the other Aronofsky movies. See Moon, the Duncan Jones film. He scored Smoking Aces, which I haven't seen, but I understand that I should. And he's one of those people that, if a bit like Danny Elfman, as soon as you see the name, you go, okay, I got to check this out. So yeah, everything is so well orchestrated. I can't stress. I mean, as much as some of what he does in it isn't particularly original, and you've seen it before, overall, he's created such an unforgettable, startling film. Pretty much every scene is essay-worthy. You could, you really sense as you're watching it that this is a movie you could study, not just as a film student, but perhaps as a psychology student as well. It's really, really, really good. And what I found I loved about it also is, quite apart from everything I've said and how emotional it is, and how upsetting and vivid and powerful and all the rest, aside from all that, I also admired how, just as with The Wrestler, you don't need to be into wrestling to enjoy it, and just as with, say, what's a good example? Arguably with Raging Bull, you don't need to be into boxing. This you don't need to be into. There was this kind of impression that it's about Swan Lake, and there seemed to be this very kind of so what are the words I'm looking for? Sort of a view of it as being not something that men should see. You know, it's not a very macho, you know, thing. I mean, quite apart from the fact that I think that, you know, that's the wrong way to look at ballet anyway. You know, don't be put off by the ballet. It's not really. You don't need to be a fan of ballet at all. You don't really need to know anything about it, because it's not really a story about the dancing as it is about everything else. It is about her, and it's about her mother, and it's about determination and passion and sexuality, and it's a, you know, it's a character piece. So yes, 10 out of 10. It's my favourite Darren Aronofsky film so far. Really love that man, and if you haven't seen his work prior to this, then go check it out. I mean, I think Black Swan is his best film, but you know, everything he's done has been exciting. He's a brave, you know, intense filmmaker. You know, you do need to approach him with a bit of caution, but he, you know, particularly with Requiem for a Dream and this, but yeah, all in all, I thought, you know, it's a shame I could talk about this movie, and indeed I have, you know, for a long time, and I could discuss all the details. You know, it's such a detailed, vivid film. You know, as I say, every scene could be worthy of, you know, of an essay in itself. So I could go on forever, but you know, the crux of it is, you really need to see this movie. It's an experience that I think nobody really expected, especially those who aren't familiar with, you know, Aronofsky. I think that not only is it sort of, I think it shocked and surprised quite a lot of people. I remember sitting in the second screening of it, and there was a woman next to me who was sort of gasping and being like, "Oh my God, I didn't know this was going here." And I've heard that quite a lot. It's a shocking, surprising film, and it's a hell of a descent into, you know, into a broken mind, and I don't think, or into a breaking mind, more specifically, and I don't think that anybody does it better than Aronofsky. So 10 out of 10, Black Swan, check it out.